Royalty. It's a world full of mystery, old rules, and ceremonies that can seem very strange to us now. We're talking about everything from a king who, by tradition, has to hold a politician hostage every time he speaks to the government, to the official news of a monarch's death being told, to beehives. But some of history's most powerful rulers came to power through rituals so weird they make those traditions seem normal. We're counting down the 5 strangest crowning rituals in history, and you won't believe the story behind a ritual where a king supposedly climbed to his throne on top of women. Number 5. Telling the bees. Starting at number 5 is a tradition that sounds more like a story than a royal rule. Telling the bees. When a British monarch dies, it's not just the people who get the official news. The royal beekeeper has the serious job of visiting the hives at Buckingham Palace and Clarence House to share the news. And this isn't just a quick "hey buzz buzz, the queen is dead." The beekeeper has to knock on each hive, speak very quietly, and tell the bees that their master or mistress has died and a new monarch is now in charge. When everyone was mourning Queen Elizabeth II, the hives were even decorated with tiny black ribbons. This whole thing comes from a very old belief, common in Europe, that bees are part of the family and need to be told about big life events, births, marriages, and especially deaths. If you forgot to tell them, legend says bad things would happen. They might stop making honey, leave the hive, get sick, or even die. So while it's not only a royal tradition, the fact that the British royals still follow it so carefully makes it one of the strangest and longest-lasting rituals still around today. Number 4. The King's Champion. At number 4, we have a tradition that feels like it's from a fantasy movie. The King's Champion. For hundreds of years, a big part of an English crowning wasn't just the crown, but the giant party afterward. During this feast, a knight in full, shining armor would ride a war horse right into Westminster Hall. This was the King's Champion, a role passed down in the Dymoke family since the 1300s. His job was pure theater. He'd throw down his metal glove and challenge anyone who dared to question the new king's right to the throne to a fight. An official announcer would read the challenge, saying something like, "If any person says our king is not the true heir to the throne, they are a liar and a traitor, and the King's Champion is here, ready to fight them." This was repeated 3 times. And guess what? No one ever accepted the challenge. It was all a big show to prove the new king was powerful and not to be messed with. The last time this huge spectacle happened was at the extra-fancy crowning of King George IV in 1821, but the job still exists. At King Charles II's crowning, a modern-day Dymoke carried the royal flag into the church as a small tribute to this mighty old tradition. Number 3. The Stolen Stone of Destiny. Our third weirdest ritual isn't about a person, but a rock. A 336-pound block of red sandstone, known as the Stone of Scone, or the Stone of Destiny. For hundreds of years, Scottish kings were crowned on this holy stone. It was the biggest symbol of their right to rule. Stories even say it goes back to Jacob from the Bible, who supposedly used it as a pillow. The real strangeness started in 1296, when King Edward I of England invaded Scotland, took the stone as a prize of war, and brought it to Westminster Abbey in London. There, he had a special chair, the coronation chair, built with a space underneath just to hold the Scottish stone. This was a huge political statement. It meant that every English, and later British, ruler would be crowned while sitting right on top of Scotland's most holy object, a clear way to show that England was in charge. This act turned the stone into a powerful symbol for Scottish pride. This strange ritual of crowning an English king on a stolen Scottish throne went on for about 700 years. The story took another wild turn on Christmas Day, 1950, when 4 Scottish students broke into Westminster Abbey and stole the stone back. It was found a few months later, but was finally and officially given back to Scotland in 1996. The deal? It will only leave Scotland again for crowning ceremonies in London, continuing its long, dramatic journey. Number 2. The sacred bath and taboo touch. In the kingdom of Tonga, becoming king involves old rituals with strict holy rules. At number 2 is a crowning that mixes cleaning rituals with a strict do-not-touch policy. It starts with the new king taking a special bath to make himself pure. But the strangest part comes from a holy rule. The people of Tonga are not allowed to touch the king's head. As you can guess, this makes it very hard to do the most important part of the ceremony, putting the crown on the king's head. So how do they solve this? Sometimes they bring in someone from another country to do it. For the crowning of King Tupu Vi in 2015, a retired Australian church leader, who was born in Tonga but was an Australian citizen, was chosen to put the crown on the king's head. The ceremony also includes drinking kava, a traditional drink that makes you feel relaxed, which is given as a gift to the new king. This mix of holy baths, cultural rules that need outside help, and special drinks makes the Tongan crowning one of the most unique in the world. An interesting mix of old traditions and new solutions. Number 1. The king who climbed to his throne on women's breasts. And now for our number 1 spot, a ritual that is part legend and part powerful symbol. The story of the king who climbed to his throne on the chests of women. To be clear, there's no real proof this ever actually happened. Instead, it's thought to be a powerful story with a deeper meaning, based on old beliefs about kings and the land. The legend describes a king rising to power in a very unusual way. To get to his throne, a new king wouldn't walk up stone steps. Instead, he would climb 7 holy steps made from the bodies of women from his kingdom, using their chests to help him climb. This wasn't about being powerful over them, it was about needing them. The ritual was a very personal way to show where a king's real power came from. The women stood for Mother Earth, the land itself, and the source of all life. They were the actual foundation of the throne. In many old cultures, especially Celtic ones, the health of the land was connected to the king. People believed the king's energy could affect how well crops grew and how well his people lived. This idea appears in the story of the sovereignty goddess, where the land is a goddess that the king must pretend to marry to prove he has the right to rule. By climbing to power on the caring bodies of his female subjects, the king was showing that his rule was supported by the life-giving power of his kingdom. This powerful picture, whether it really happened or was just a story, was a strong reminder. It showed that a ruler's strength wasn't in armies, but in his ability to make sure his kingdom had life and plenty of everything. The path to the throne was a living symbol of the caring power that supported the whole kingdom. It was a real-life promise that a ruler is nothing without the life of the nation he leads. From holy rocks to living, symbolic steps, these strange rituals show us what old cultures really cared about: power, the divine right to rule, and the special bond between a ruler and the life of their kingdom. Which of these rituals do you think is the strangest? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more weird history.